Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Greetings to you all. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you. The comment, the encouragement, positive and negative, all is welcome. We are okay with it. We are greeting you all. We hope the Mother of Universe is showering her blessings upon us all. Once again, we are here to proceed with our expose. We are doing this because we want you to really understand what you are practicing. We want you to understand what exactly is Islam and what made up Islam. That is what we are doing. That is why we are doing what we are doing. So this is the page where you get to know what is Islamic religion and how it came about and any other thing that is surrounding it and how Muslims behave the way they behave. This is where it's coming from. Thank you so much. I believe you saw the last video and you enjoyed it. And you heard what we said about Muhammad moving from his house and going to Abu Bakr. Now he is with Abu Bakr and they are about to leave Mecca, or they left Mecca. Now when they left Mecca, a whole lot has been said, a whole lot has been written, which is not important. As usual, there are 3 or let's say 2, 3 or 4 points that I want to share with you in this particular video, and then the next one is when Muhammad got to Madina. All those ones are fictional stories which were cooked and wrote after the demise of the fictional character Muhammad 125 years before those things are written. You don't need a soothsayer. You don't need a rocket scientist to tell you that these things are lies. These things are fictional. Now, come with me as I take you through their journey. Now, they left. They hired one Abdullah ibn Arqam, who is an associator or who is not a believer. He does not believe in Allah. He's not a Muslim. They hired him to lead them. Now, look at this. Let's assume that it was an associator who was running away from Muslims and he hired a Muslim to lead him, to show him the way out of the town. Do you think the Muslim would do it? No. Assuming it was an associator or non-believer or the Kafiris of Makkah is the one running away from Muslims, and he asked a Muslim who is not a family, he asked him to come and help him, lead him, because he doesn't know the way, lead him out of Mecca. Do you think the Muslim will do it? He will never do that. He will show where the non-Muslim is hiding for Muslim to come and catch him and kill him. He will. Yes, I have fact for that. You heard the verses we read in the beginning of this migration thing. You heard the verses, right? Think about it. Just ponder about those verses and see if it were to be a Muslim, do you think he will help the non-Muslim to escape? No, he will not help the non-Muslim to escape them. Again, there is also an hadith, a prophetic narration, a tradition that they report that at the end of time, at the end of the world, there's going to be a war between Jews and Muslims. The hadith is there. When we get to hadiths, we'll explain all those hadiths. The hadiths of enmity, the hadiths that are talking about adversity between Muslims and non-Muslims. The hadith is saying that when it is the end time, okay, Muslims and Jews will engage in a battle. Then Muslims will defeat the Jews, and then the Jews will run and go and hide behind rocks and trees. And all the trees and the rocks will call Muslims and tell them that, come to my back. There's a Jew hiding behind me. The rock will speak to Muslims and tell Muslims that Jews are hiding behind my back. Come and kill them. That is rock. A Muslim rock will call a Muslim human to come and catch Jews behind it and kill them. And trees will also speak to Muslims and tell them that they should come behind them. Jews are behind them. It is hadith. I'll read it to you. We will get there. I'll read it for you. Muslim trees. This is Islamic trees and Islamic rocks. How much more Islamic human? You see? So this is my fact to say that if it were to be an associator or non-believer who wanted to go out, Muslims will never help him to get out of, to run away or to escape from Medina. No, they will not do it. That is it. So they hired Abdullah ibn Arqat and then he came. Now, when they walk out of the house of Abu Bakr, they headed towards Gar, a rock, a mountain which has a cave, okay? And then they entered inside the cave and they hide themselves there. A whole lot of stories has been cooked, created to make it look as if miraculous. Yes, among the stories was that a spider came to weave spider web on the cave, at the entrance of the cave, okay? At the entrance of the cave, a spider came to weave spider web. That is one. After they entered. Number two, two female pigeons came to lay egg on the spider web, at the entrance of the cave, which means the entrance of the cave looks like some kind of a hole. So immediately Abu Bakr and his Muhammad entered the hole, spider came to weave spider web on the entrance, and two female pigeons came to lay egg on the entrance, on the spider web. Some reporters say no, this particular one that talked about two female pigeons, is mentioned in this one, Asiratun Nabawiyah, Ibn Kathir. Other reporters say no, it is not two female pigeons, it is one female pigeon that came to lay egg on the spider web. Now, and the reason for that has been explained by the authors of these garbages, that it happened so that the non-believers that will follow to come and look for them will not know Abu Bakr and Muhammad are in the hole. They are in the hole of the cave. Because if someone will enter inside a hole and there's a spider web, the spider web will be destroyed. But to have the spider web on the entrance of the hole, at the hole with egg on it, means that nobody entered there. But my Sufi people has different thing to say. You know, the Sufis, they love fairy tales more than any other person. When you go to their Maulidis, where they celebrate the birth of Muhammad, there is nothing there apart from fairy tales. Sufis can narrate fairy tales. They have a different narrative for this. They said the egg that the pigeon egg that the non-Muslims saw at the entrance of the hole was not an egg. It was the one eyeball of Muhammad that has been portrayed to the non-believers as if or as spider or as pigeon egg. Yes, that is what the Sufis that is what the Sufis, the Tijanians and co, that is what they say. So they were in the cave and the associates or non-believers, the people of Makkah, came there. They couldn't find them. Now come with me as I read for you the first point I want to read for you in the book, Asiratun Nabawiyah, Ibn Hisham, page 2, volume 2, page 83. Now see, the reason why I'm not bothering you with so much books right now is that all these things that I'm narrating here is not different from what is here. It is the same thing that is in this one. It is the same thing that is also in this one. It is the same thing that is also in this one. That is why I'm not bothering you with too much books, because I've read these things all and I know what is what. I know where everything is found. So I know what I'm talking about. That is why nobody dares to react to these videos, because you do this at your own peril. Oh yes, you do this and disgrace yourself. If you want to do it, you are welcome. Now, the first point I want to read for you, and there's a point here that you're going to laugh. The first point is that there's a caption in Asiratun Nabawiyah, Ibn Hisham, page 83, volume 2, says that فَأَقَامَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ فِي الْغَارِ ثَلَاثًا وَمَعَهُ أَبُو بَكْرٍ. Muhammad and Abu Bakr stayed in the cave ثلاثا 3 days. وَجَعَلَتْ قُرَيْشٍ فِيهِ حِينَ فَقَدُوهُ مِئَةَ نَاقَةٍ لِمَنْ يَرُدُّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ. And then Quraysh has put in 100 camels for whoever will see Muhammad, catch him and bring him back to Mecca, will be rewarded with 100 camels. So the 100 camels are as incentive, okay? Incentive for whoever will bring Muhammad back to Mecca. 100 camels. Okay. وَكَانَ Abdullah ibn Abu Bakr. And then the son of Abu Bakr, who is known as Abdullah, يكون في قريش نهاره معهم يسمع ما يأتمرون به وما يقولون في شأن رسول الله وأبو بكر ثم يأتيهما إذا أمسى فيخبرهما الخبر. Abu Bakr told his son Abdullah that mingle with the Quraysh daytime and hear what they're gonna say about us. When you hear them at night, you sneak and come to the cave and come and tell us. So Abu Bakr was using his son Abdullah as a spy on the Quraysh. So he was bringing them the news of the Quraysh and what the Quraysh are planning to do after the escape of Muhammad and Abu Bakr. Now, another point I want to read for you is this. Still the same book, page 84. Hatta idha madat thalath. After 3 days, wasakana anuhum an-nas. After 3 days, and people have now become calm. Nobody is serious looking for them anymore. Atahuma sahibahuma alladhi istajarahu bi ba'irayhima wa ba'irun lahu. And then the one that is going to guide them through the way to Yathrib, Abdullah ibn Arqat, came with their 2 animals. The 2 animals that they're going to ride on their way with his own one. Okay? And then the daughter of Abu Bakr, Asma, who is the sister of Aisha, also came. Now Asma is the name you hear in Zongo. Asma'u. That is the name. And this name is Arab name. In fact, trust me, there is nothing like Islamic name. Islamic name is Arab name. Arab name is Islamic name. And all those names you see, they name their children with it before the religion came. So Asma also came. Bisufratihima. She brought them their food that they will eat on the way. And then they came, and then the one that Abdullah ibn Arqad will lead them also came, and then he brought their animals. Asma brought their food, and then they prepared and they left. Now on the way to Yathrib, if you come to page 85 of the same book, there's a point here. The caption says, Sayra Rasulullah, the traveling of Muhammad wa Abu Bakr and Abu Bakr ila Madina. Now they are on the way. Okay? Now listen to this. Ibn Ishaq reported, the first Sirah author, reported that Asma, the daughter of Abu Bakr, said, when her father and Abu Bakr left house, some of Quraysh men came to them. Fihim Abu Jahl ibn Hisham. Abu Jahl is part of them. For waqafu ala babi Abu Bakr, they stood at the entrance of Abu Bakr. Fakharajt, Asma said, I came out. Faqalu, and they said, Aina Abuki, ya bint Abu Bakr, where is your dad? Qultu, I said to them, La adri wallahi aina abi. I swear by Allah, I don't know where my father is. You see, she swore by Allah, but she knows very well that she knows very well where her father is. This is what is happening in Zongo. They swear, but they are the culprit. They swear they didn't do it, but they did it. They swear they don't know anything about it, but they will be saying wallahi. Yeah, that is where they copied it from. So it is Arabs' identity. It is Arabs' culture. It is Arabs' habit to swear while lying. So the daughter of Abu Bakr swore, Wallahi la adri aina abi. She swore that she doesn't know where her father is. Okay? And she said, Farafa Abu Jahl lanahullah yadahu. And Abu Jahl lifted up his hand, and he slapped her according to the story. Latmatan, he gave her a slap. Fatara minha qurtu, and then her earring fell. The slap was so heavy that her earring fell. قالت and then ثم انصرفوا and then they left. فمكثت 3 ليال وما أدري أين وجه رسول الله. Asma said, we stayed for good 3 days. We don't know whereabout of Muhammad after they left the cave. When they left the cave, nobody knows where they are. Now this is the funny part. حتى أقبل رجل من الجن, until jinn, demon, okay, jinn, demon came min asfali Makkah. He came from the lower part of Mecca. Yataganna bi abiyatin min shiri Gina al-Arab. He came and he was singing a song. Jinn came singing a song. Jinn, demon, came singing a song. Wa inna nasa la yatba'unahu yasma'una sawtahu wa ma yarawnahu. People were following the sound, but they are not seeing the jinn. Yes, it is jinn, it's demon. So nobody is seeing him. I don't know whether you I don't know whether you are with me. I hope you are with me, right? Yes, you are with me. See, jinn, demon, okay? Invisible spirit. When Muhammad and Abu Bakr left the cave with the person that is going to lead them through the way, for good 3 days, Asma, the daughter of Abu Bakr, said, we don't know their whereabouts. Where they've gotten to, we don't know. Until the 3rd day, invisible creature, invisible being, jinn, demon, came and he was singing. People could hear the voice, but they cannot see him. Jinn. Okay. Hatta kharaja min ala Makkah. He was singing from the lower part of Makkah until he got to the upper part of Makkah. Wa huwa yaqul, and the song was that. Listen to the song of the jinn. The jinn happens to be a Muslim, because according to the song, I don't know. He says, Jazallahu Rabbun Nasi khayra jazaihi rafiqaini halla khaymatay ma'badi. He says, may the reward of Allah be reward of Allah, Rabbun Nas, the Lord of people, khayra jazaihi, his reward be upon rafiqaini, 2 friends, halla, who have gotten to khaymatay ma'bad, who has gotten to the area of the resident of Ma'bad. Yes, on the way to Yathrib, there is a woman and her family who is known as Ma'bad. So whoever will pass through Ma'bad, it means that the person is heading towards Yathrib or Madina. So the jinn was singing, and he says, Huma nazala bil barri thumma tarawwaha. They have stayed with Ma'bad as a guest, thumma tarawwaha, and then they left. Fa aflaha man amsa rafiqa Muhammadi. And aflaha man amsa, whoever ends up being rafiqa Muhammad, the companion or traveling companion of Muhammad, aflaha, he is the most luckiest one. I'll tell you something after reading the poem. And then the last part of the poem says, Liyahni bani Ka'bin makanu fatatihim. Banu Ka'b, the elderly grandfather of the great grandfather of people of Quraysh is Ka'b. So he says, the descendant of Ka'b, relax, become wa maq'aduha lil mu'minina bi marsadi. Relax, don't worry, for the guardian of the believers is taking care of the 2 companions or the 2 travelers. So it is through the song or this poem of the jinn that they heard the voice, they never saw him, is that they got to know that Muhammad is on the way to Madina or Yathrib. You see, let me tell you something. So far, all these books that I'm reading to you or I'm reading for you are books that are being authored by Sunni scholars. The mainstream Islam, the majority of Muslims, the Sunni, Al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah books, not the Shia one. Now, politically, there is an argument about the leadership after the demise of Muhammad concerning Ali and the first 3 caliphs. More especially, Abu Bakr, who became the first caliph. Okay. Now, in the previous video, one of the videos you watched, I told you one of the facts or one of the reasons why Shias think Ali supposed to be the leader of Muslims after Muhammad was the fact that Muhammad asked Ali to sleep on his bed in the night he ran away from Mecca. Now, on the other hand, to the contrary to Sunnis, according to Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, what justifies Abu Bakr to be the leader of Muslims after the demise of Muhammad was this particular journey. Yes, they were together in the cave. They traveled together. So this alone gives Abu Bakr, it's a license, it's a bonus for Abu Bakr to be the leader of Muslims after the demise of Muhammad. So some of these writings and some of these poems were actually cooked and created to support the Sunnah idea, the Sunnah aspect of Islam, not the Shia aspect. In other words, all these writers are Sunnis. Now, another point again, there are so many poems in the book, especially this one, okay? Ibn Hisham's book, the second oldest era, so many poems. But trust me, the poems are so weak, they are so fragile that they don't match the language of the time. One of the reasons that will let you know clearly that the poems were fabricated later, they were coined later, was the language and how the poems were arranged and how they were composed. So I never even worry myself to read some of the poems to you, even though some of the poems carry the point that shows clearly that all those things are lies. They never happen. But I didn't want to waste your time on them. Now, I got to know this and I understand this and I understand how it works because I specialize in Arabic literature. So I know how this works. Again, some of these poets that these poems are related to, then some of them are not Quraysh. Some of them are not even from Makkah. There's a variety of Arabic language. Arabic language vary. The Arabs of Yemen, their language vary. The Arabs of Sham, their Arabic vary from that of Yemen. And the Arabian Peninsula, the desert Arabs, their language is also vary from the city one. On top of that, Quraysh language vary from that of Qahtan. Qahtan language vary from that of Rabi'a. The Arabic of Rabi'a vary from the Arabic of Abs. They are all on the desert. They speak Arabic, yes, but each and everybody has some differences in the dialects. Now, when you pick the book, all the poems in the books, the Sirah books, what you could find is that all the poems are being composed with one language, the language that is claimed to be the Quraysh language. Why is it that a Mudar, an Arab poet who is coming from Banu Mudar, his poems will be composed in the dialect of Quraysh? A poet who is coming from Banu Abs, his poems will be composed in the language on the dialect of Quraysh. A poet who is coming from Banu Rabi'a, his language is composed with Quraysh dialect. How? Again, on top of that, even within the clans under the Quraysh, under Abdul Manaf. Abdul Manaf is the great-grandfather, and Ka'b is the great-great-grandfather of the Quraysh clan. Within them, we have Banu Adi, we have Banu Hashim, we have Banu Tamim. All these people, Banu Adi has their language, their Arabic, is a little bit different from the Arabic of Banu Hashim. The Banu Hashim's dialect is a little bit different from that of Banu Tamim. So the question still remains, why is it that all these different dialects, but when it comes to their poems, they compose in one language? It is a lie. The people that wrote those things are the same people that coined this one. That is why I didn't worry you about it. So 3 days, they didn't know where Muhammad and Abu Bakr were. but the jinn came to compose. Now we don't know the jinn, where the jinn is coming from. We don't know the tribe of the jinn, but these stanzas that I read for you, the language is Quraysh language, the Quraysh Arabic. I can give you the difference of, I can use one word to give you the difference of the how all of them say it. And also within the dialect in Mecca, I can give you the difference. I can give you one word and give you all the difference. I know, it's my field. I speak Arabic just like the way I speak English. In fact, I speak Arabic more than English. I think so. So I know what I'm talking about. The same thing applies to the Quran. So when you go to the language of the Quran, there's a serious issue there. Serious issue. We will get there. The Quran is said to be revealed in the language, in the dialect of Quraysh, which means some part of the Quran will be difficult for Rabi'a, Mudar, Qahtan, and Banu Ams to understand it, because there are some things when Quraysh mention them, Banu Rabi'a, Banu Mudar, Qahtan, they will be lost. They will not understand what they are saying. Now, if the Quran is revealed in the language of Quraysh and other Arabs have different dialect and they don't understand entirely the complete dialect of Quraysh, and the Quran of the Allah is revealed to the language of Quraysh, don't you think that Quran is only meant for the Quraysh? Even the rest of the Arab are not part. Don't you think that? That one alone is a problem. You are not done with that, and you cross all those people and you come to impose this garbage on me. You must be crazy. Let's leave that one. So for 3 days, they did not know where Muhammad is until this jinn. We don't know whether the jinn is from Banu Rabi'a or Banu Ams or Banu Hashim. We don't know. We don't know. We don't even give it a damn. But the language of the poem is the language of the Quraysh. Really, the construction and everything is the language of Quraysh. That is funny. Now, Muhammad and Abu Bakr on the way. Now, page 87 has this to say. Asma said, that is the daughter of Abu Bakr, the sister of Aisha. Falamma samina qawlahu, when we heard the song of the jinn, arafna hais wajha Rasulullah, we knew where Muhammad was heading to. Wa anna wajhahu ila Madina, and we also became certain that now Muhammad is on the way to Madina, Yathrib. And then wakanu arba, there were 4, Abu Bakr and Muhammad, 2. Amr ibn Fuhaira, Mawla Abu Bakr. Amr ibn Fuhaira, who is a slave to Abu Bakr. So Abu Bakr took one of his slaves along, and Abdullah ibn Arqat, who was guiding them through the way. So this is them on the way. Now, when they went out, when people heard about the 100 camels, that would be as an incentive for whoever will bring Muhammad back to Mecca. People wanted to get the 100 camels. That is money. Okay? So, some of them tried to follow them. Among those that wanted to follow them is Suraka bin Malik bin Jasham. He couldn't catch them, and then there's a whole story about him following them and all that. But Suraka couldn't catch Muhammad. He tried, but he couldn't catch him. Up to the point that, to extent that they reported that Suraka will see Muhammad, and then his horse will refuse to move until he will change his mind, until Suraka will change his mind that he's not going to chase Muhammad again. He's going back to Mecca. Then his horse will start to move. It's all cooked and embellished. So this is what happened. So on the way to Yathrib or Madina is what I read for you and how it transpired. Meet me in the next video as I take you through Muhammad reaching Madina. When he reached Madina, what happened? And then we see how he started to engage in battle. How a prophet became warmonger. How a prophet became militant leader. How a prophet became militant leader, warlord, and blood-sucking being. The descendant of Thoth, the prophet of Africa, the record keeper, the fire-breathing being. Bye-bye.